If you don't use it, you should lose it. Wise words that my wife told me, because I had this space here and I really wasn't utilizing it the way I should have. We want to make more things than I think we have the time and the ability to make. So you start accumulating things because in the mind you're like, one day I will do, this will be cool when I do, this is gonna be for, and then those moments don't show up. But you end up accumulating hella shit. And so what ends up occurring is that you build up so much clutter that it actually stops you from being productive in your creative endeavors. And so currently I find myself in a decluttering moment. And it made me start like really reading into this and reflecting this. These kind of ideas and concepts really, you know, they hit home for me, and I'm sure for you as well, because we're creative people and there's things that hinder us from achieving our fullest potential. And I think that that's one of the things that my wife really brought to light, for me at least, was this idea that maybe I should downsize on some things. Maybe there's things that I purchased, I used, no longer really need, that I should either 1, give away, 2, sell, or 3, throw away. And that's one of the processes that I'm in, and the more I read into it, the more I realized that this is actually a very common problem that occurs for people that create a lot of stuff. There was this article that I read which says, you know, you should probably declutter your artistic workspace every 6 months just to kind of reanalyze what you are going to use and what you're not going to use, and whether or not it's worth the time and space that it's absorbing. I like to know where all my tools are so that when I do get the inclination to make something, I can go right to that. And having a cluttered workspace definitely stops you from doing that. And what ends up occurring is that you become discouraged. If you can't find that lens, that mic, that brush, or whatever it is you're looking for in that moment when that inspiration hits, will you come back to it? I don't know. And that's the reason why you actually have to be organized. And I tend to be organized with my stuff, but definitely I didn't realize how cluttered I had my workspace until we cleaned it out. And then I realized, like, holy shit, I have a lot of stuff. So some of the things you got to ask yourself is like, does this stuff help you or is it hurting you? Is it adding value to you, or is it basically taking up space that otherwise could be utilized by something that you would use? And that's kind of the things that I'm going to be looking through and trying to fix. And one of the first things was like my DSLRs. Yes, I said DSLRs, like plural. Like I have multiple cameras and I haven't really shot on it. But one of the reasons why I haven't shot on it is just because just too much clutter. You know, the laptop that I like to edit on, all that stuff, it all takes time and space. And I put myself in a compromising situation where like I don't have as much time. And I felt like, man, let me dust off my DSLRs and put them to use and make a video or two, and you know, get back into that habit. Because if I'm not going to be using my DSLRs, if I'm not going to be using my Rode mic, if I'm not going to be using my lights, then like I should get rid of them. But I don't want to get rid of them, so I'm going to start using them more often. So some of the key things that I took away from my readings on decluttering are going to be this. 1, distractions. A cluttered workspace can be distracting. It's hard to focus on creating something beautiful when there's clutter everywhere, right? So you get sidetracked. You think, I'm going to do this, and then you see the other thing, say, well, you know what, that one thing I never really finished it, and then, oh, but what about this other thing? And it just continuously compiles upon you, so that you might do 1% of each thing, but that doesn't get you closer to anything being finished. 2, anxiety. A cluttered workspace can cause anxiety for some artists. And I don't think I'm one of those, but I definitely think that if I can't find what I'm looking for in the moment I'm looking for it, I get very frustrated. And that's, I think, kind of the same ballpark as anxiety, but a little different. 3, decreased productivity. Your productivity can be adversely affected by a cluttered workspace. That is predominantly what I'm feeling right now. I don't feel like I'm executing well because when I'm looking for one thing that I really wanted to work on in the moment, I can't find it. I haven't been keeping up with organizing my workspace. I haven't even been upkeeping my materials, right? So like a lot of it is just fucking scattered. I really got to find it and compile it back together and organize it properly. 4, creativity block. I don't really suffer from this. I think the problem that I have is that I think of so many ideas and things that I want to do, but I don't ever seem to find the time to actually sit down and make that thing. So I have millions of notes of things I want to make, but like I need to stop and center myself and make those things. Overall, a clean and organized workspace can help artists feel more focused, productive, and creative in their work. And so that is what I'm up to. That's what I'm aiming to do. And I'm really glad that my wife and me, we had that discussion, that she really pointed that out, because I'm finding so much shit that I forgot I even had. And that's when it's scary, right? When you're like, what the, I don't even remember having this. Where did this come from? And I'm also finding things that I had been looking for but could never find. I don't know how many people out there in the creative space that's part of this community have decluttered their artistic space, and if so, kind of what does that look like for you? Is it like you throw away a lot of stuff? Do you downsize on certain things? And what do you go about doing that? One thing I know I have to do is start downsizing my comics. My wife, in her good intentions, always is like, put them all out. And then once I do it, it's like, oh shit, that's too many. She's right, like I don't reread all these comics. I'm also not a collector, so I don't take care of them. But there is a few series that I read continuously that I know for sure, no matter what, I always want to keep them on hand, right? Like my Judge Dreds, my Punishers, my Sin Cities. There's a few that like I continuously go back to just to, you know, tap into that well of like creative energy. But overall, I am planning on getting rid of some of my comics, downsizing that. How that's gonna look or what that's gonna be, I don't know really. I do feel like I need to get ready for the new year, which I don't know how many of you guys have been following the channel for a while, but every new year is a big thing for me. I like to think about what I've done in this year that has made me feel good, right? What's brought joy to my life throughout this year, so I can do more of that. And one of the things that I really do regret is that I haven't been making these kind of videos. I haven't stopped to really shoot and edit something that felt substantial and worth watching, because like I said, like I put myself in a compromised situation where, like, you know, I'm working full time, I still make the zines and do what I can with real publication, going to school full time, right, to finish up my bachelor's. And then on top of that, I help my wife with her tea business. Unbroken tea, get some tea, put that shit in your cup, y'all. It almost felt like I didn't have enough time to shoot and edit the way I've been wanting to, or the way I like to, the way that feels enjoyable for me. It almost felt like I was just doing it because I felt like I needed to do it more than doing it for the enjoyment of doing it. And these kind of videos where we kind of ponder more, I don't know if it's more philosophical ideas of being a creative person, or if it's more like concrete, like do's and don'ts of being a creative. But nonetheless, I like pondering these ideas and reflecting on things as a creative. What am I doing actively through my practice to be, you know, executing on the ideas that I want to execute on and building what it is that I would like to build. And obviously me as well, vlogging, once again, it's a little more nuanced than just saying, well, it's because I'm decluttering. Yes, decluttering was one intersection of it, but there's also multiple other intersections of it. Some of it being that currently there's a very weird and interesting dynamic. I really do believe that GDP is up, right? Profits are up, people are making money, but it's obviously not working class people. And then there's this whole like labor dynamic that we're seeing unfold right now of like people are holding companies accountable. And there's this whole talk about how Gen Z is really changing the workspace dynamic. I believe it, and I'm hella amped about it, and that's why I always love the youth, because the youth come through and they show us what could be, right? Because we can only dream as far as we can see, kind of. And so they bring this whole new dynamic and reality to the situation. And what I feel like is that we're currently in a situation of destruction. Quote, no effects, right? Dinosaurs have to die. So these old systems, institutions have to die for us to build the new shit. And in that moment, I feel like there's this weird shit that I'm watching like through the media of like, it's almost like corporate America is trying to tell you the way it should be. And it's always like that, right? Like there's corporate art that tries to push corporate ideas to you. And then there's working class art that talks about the reality of shit. That's why right now, personally, I think it's even more important to have working class creatives trying to talk about just creating art that reflects the current situation, right? Creating art that talks about, you know, the shit that workers are going through, unionizing, union busting. We need to tell our stories, because if we don't, then there's this false narrative that starts, and that false narrative will lead us to a lot of fluff but nothing of substance. And I think that right now, currently, if we focus on building shit that matters, we can genuinely build something better for us as working class people. So your boy's back on it. It's good to be back, you guys. Thank you for everyone that's been following the channel for a long time. Hella appreciate it. If you guys like this video, want to see me declutter, build for a publication up as far as I can build it, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys I don't know, maybe tomorrow. Alright guys, lates.